Welcome to Janine Reacts. I'm your Janine Ramshaw. Today we're watching a report and breaking it all down, and I also want to hear what you think really happened here. Before we even start, drop a comment below. Have you ever visited Newport Beach? If you have, you already know why this feels so shocking. Stick around till the end because I've got thoughts that go way deeper than just wow, that's crazy. Let's jump in.
Newport Beach waking up to a mess this morning after celebrations got out of control. Fights were recorded breaking out across the city, a lot of them going viral on social media. Witnesses telling us there was alleged looting at businesses including...
Okay, hold up, stop right there. Looting at the pavilions in Newport Beach on the 4th of July. I need everyone to understand what we're looking at here. The pavilions on Balboa Boulevard isn't just any regular grocery store. This is in one of the wealthiest coastal communities in Southern California. Newport Beach is the kind of town where people pull right up to restaurants in their boats on weekends. The median home price there is well over $2 million. Every street is manicured, everything feels clean and calm, and like nothing bad ever happens there. And clearly they were totally unprepared for what showed up that night. That's the part that hits me first. It's not just that things got wild, things get wild everywhere. It's where it happened. People walk around thinking this kind of stuff can't happen in a place like Newport. There's this idea that money builds some invisible wall around certain neighborhoods, and on the 4th of July, that wall just crumbled completely. Footage of fights is all over social media, garbage and food everywhere, and we haven't even gotten to the arrests yet. Let's keep watching.
Including the pavilions on West Balboa Boulevard. You can see in just a second the food and debris scattered right there on the streets. There was a massive multi-agency response to that chaos. Around 100 arrests were made, and there are reports of multiple officers who were injured. We are working to confirm the exact amount of arrests and injuries, and we will keep you updated throughout the morning.
100 arrests, officers hurt. Agencies from all over called in to help. Let me put that in perspective. When they say multi-agency response, that means what was happening got way bigger than the Newport Beach Police Department could handle alone. This wasn't just a crowd that got a little loud. This was a city that lost control of its streets on a major holiday. And honestly, the part that sticks with me most is hearing about the officers getting hurt. Once law enforcement starts getting injured, this stops being just a story about a rowdy party and turns into something way more serious. These folks showed up to work on their day off, probably expecting a busy night with some overserved beachgoers. Instead, they walked into a situation so big they needed backup from all over, and some ended up needing medical care. Here's what this short news piece doesn't really dig into, and this is where I want to go deeper. How did it even start? Was there one specific moment that set it off? Or was this organized ahead of time on social media? There's a huge difference between a celebration that slowly spins out of control and something that was planned and coordinated. And looking at how big this got, people traveling from Arizona, from the Inland Empire, all kinds of places outside the area, I really don't think this was random. It feels like someone put the word out and a whole lot of people decided to show up. And that brings me to the part of this whole thing that honestly bothers me the most. Let's talk about it. So that's the report, short, straightforward, just the facts. But there's so much more going on under the surface, stuff a 40-second news segment will never have time to explain, and that's exactly why we're here. First off, let's really look at Newport Beach itself. The location isn't just a side note, it is the story. This isn't a place where you expect to hear about looting and street brawls. On a normal weekend, the biggest headache people face is finding a parking spot near the pier. I've been there myself. I know exactly what that vibe feels like. It's upscale, relaxed, everything feels managed. So when that same setting becomes the scene of over 100 arrests and hurt officers, something shifted in a big way. The question is what exactly caused it. A lot of people online are asking if this was one of those teen takeovers where groups use social media to plan and all show up at the same spot all at once. And honestly, when you hear that people traveled from hours away to get there, yeah, that adds up. This doesn't look like locals who just had too much fun at a cookout. It looks like an event that was shared, promoted, and brought together from all over. And social media was almost certainly the megaphone that made it happen. That's something we really need to think about. We've built these platforms that can bring thousands of people together in just a few hours, but there's basically zero accountability for what happens once they all arrive. Someone posts a location, says everyone come here, and suddenly you've got a crowd showing up in a town that had no warning it was coming. Newport Beach police weren't ready for it. No one was, because all the planning was happening in spaces no one was watching until it was way too late. Here's another thing that bugs me. Look at all this footage. People's faces are clear, caught on camera in broad daylight. But how many of them will actually face real consequences? We've seen this pattern before. Mass arrests happen, then charges get reduced or dropped, and 6 months later, nothing's changed. The cycle just keeps turning because there's no real reason to stop. You can join in on something like this, and more often than not, you end up going home without much happening to you. Until that shifts, the math doesn't change for people thinking about doing it again. And then there's the people who actually live there. The folks who call Newport Beach home, who shop at that pavilions, who walk those streets every single day. They woke up on July 5th to a neighborhood that looked totally unrecognizable. Trash everywhere, broken glass, and news that officers were still recovering from the night before. These are regular people dealing with a mess they didn't make. And think about the business owners and staff too, people who showed up for a holiday shift just trying to do their jobs and got caught in the middle of chaos they never signed up for. So what's the actual fix here? Honestly, I don't think there's one simple answer. But I do know it starts with accountability across the board. Accountability for the people who show up and cause trouble. Accountability for the platforms that make organizing this easy but take no responsibility for the outcome. And accountability for the adults in these young people's lives too, because someone taught them what's right and wrong, and somewhere along the way the message that this kind of behavior is never okay didn't stick. Newport Beach on the 4th of July 2025 is going to be talked about for a long time. I really believe that. It broke every assumption people held about which cities are safe from this kind of thing. Turns out no place is immune. Okay, so here's where I land on all of this. At the end of the day, this isn't really just a Newport Beach story. It just happened to be the place it went down this time. This is a bigger story about what we've built, our social platforms, our culture, how little real consequence there is for a lot of these actions that make something like this not just possible but almost predictable. Every major holiday, every busy summer weekend, we see something similar somewhere else. We shake our heads, scroll past, and move on, and nothing ever changes. What gets to me most? 100 people got arrested, officers got hurt, a grocery store was damaged, and by next week most people will have completely forgotten about it. Just another one of those reactions that's part of the problem itself. The families living there don't get to forget, the officers who got hurt don't get to forget, the workers who spent all day cleaning up the mess on July 5th don't get to forget, but the rest of us just keep scrolling and the whole cycle repeats. So I want to hear what you think. Drop your answer right in the comments. A. This was organized on social media and the platforms need to take responsibility. B. This comes down to parenting, plain and simple. C. Tougher consequences after arrests would stop this from happening again. D. This will keep happening no matter what, nothing will really change. I read every single comment, so jump in there. And if this made you stop and think, hit that like button and subscribe to Janine Reacts, because here we don't just watch the news, we actually dig into what it means. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.